Hello. Well, I think it's an Ed Oliver gremlin, I think. Yeah, I've just got a couple of things to sort out here. I don't know what happened. Hi, James. I really don't know what happened there. Ed Oliver had a terrible situation on his last live stream. But I'm not with Vodafone. I've never had a problem before. Could somebody just answer this question? Could you hear me, although I couldn't see anything happening in the chat? We could hear and see you fine. Your chat just needed updating. Ah, right. Okay. Because it was right. This hasn't happened to me before, so I'm sorry about that. Buffered but cleared up. We just had to refresh. Ah, right. Okay. I'll know in future. That's never happened to me before. The link crashed. Oh, okay, Shay. Okay. I'd like to thank everybody, by the way. I happened to look up and there was 197 people here, which I'm absolutely amazed considering the evening that I'm doing it on. So thank you very much. So again, could somebody just say yes or no? You could see me working on it until I realised there was no chat, so I don't have to explain up to where I've got to. We could hear yes, but no vision. Ah, right, okay. So we're okay again. I texted you, mate, on your phone. Yes, thanks, Mark. I have my phone on silent, and I heard this funny noise when I was trying to reconnect, and it was you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you all. You're all a great bunch. You really are. Live and live and learn. Yeah. Then smash the hell out of tech in the in the vicinity, says Steve Ash. Yes, I agree. Hello, Chris. Mr. Pooley. Hello there. Right. So I was. Okay, so you could see what I was doing, and everybody was. I just happened to look up and thought, oh, it's all gone. Hello, Leisure. Oh, yeah. That's good. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so what I'll do is go back to the overhead, and afraid we lost half our customers, but never mind. Doesn't matter. Oh, Shay, before I go back to turning, did you see the messy workshop? Thank you, John. I haven't checked my messages on there actually, but thank you everybody that tried to get hold of me. That's very good of you. You're a great bunch. You really are. Hello, Wayne the Woodturner. How are you? Nice to see you, mate. We've had a bit of a. I'm going to call it from now on when this happens, which I'm sure it will in the future. I'm going to call it an Ed Oliver moment. I must have a word with my wife and try and insist she does watch the chat for me. Good. Thanks, Mike Boyd. I appreciate you saying that. Okay. So we've got to a stage now where I'll just accept the fact, hopefully, that you saw up to where I got to. I'll go overhead again now. So what I've done here now, I've virtually got rid of that bump here, and now we're just working on this bit, which is obviously the most precarious part, if you like, because of the fact it's on the edge and there's very little actually supporting it. So very, very light touches, definitely a face shield, as I said. And at on this juncture now, what I'm using is an ordinary round nose scraper with a, I can't remember now, yeah, 45 degree bevel and a 25 relief. So I'm going to carry on with that for a little bit, and all we've got to do is put up with the knocking and just put the rest in a little bit and just light touches on the horizontal. And remember, I'm watching over here. Right, now because of the cracking etc, I've got to about here and it's started to flex a bit. So what I might do is resort to power sanding. I'll just get rid of that little ridge there, hopefully. Now normally on a winged bowl, the reason you get, I mean that's just a part I haven't done, but I'm going to sand that, I've decided. And sanding is not the most important, is not the most enjoyable thing to watch. So if you do decide to talk amongst yourselves and have a game of cards or paint a door and watch that dry, I'll quite understand, pardon me. But I was asked to do the finishing, so this is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, now the tool marks that were there are from my not too good tool control a couple of weeks ago. So you get because of the air, I just wasn't getting a good enough finish. But it can be rectified, and this is what I'm really showing you today, that it can be rectified. So what I'm going to do now is to resort to power sanding. And there is absolutely, in my view anyway, no stigma in having to sand something, especially a natural edge bull. Because what I used to do, and what a lot of people do, is hand sand the wings. You know, you can, look, I'll show you something that can be done, but it is not really, I won't say safe practice, but what is the point? If you just take a piece of abrasive and you've got a backing here, yes, you can sand there quite safely. But it's obviously banging around and it's not really doing the job as it should do because it's missing bits. So the other option is hand sanding. So okay, you can go with the grain, go what you wish, and you can sand the wings by hand. And you'll get there, of course you will. But it's a long old process, you know, and I don't see that it's necessary if you can power sand. And by power sand, for those that don't know, the newer turders, power sanding is basically using a drill with a sanding arbor. And what I tend to do here, I'll just put my respirator on as well. I think you can hear me through the respirator actually, but it does help to plug it in. I will put the extractor on just for now. So if you okay, so basically it's just an arbor. This is the Simon Hogue click system. You click in the sanding arbor into the arbor there, and away to go. So this is basically what you're doing. Instead of hand sanding. Now this is the piece of bark that I CA'd on, and there is a ridge there, so I can sand that away quite nicely. Now there's no ridge. Now if I was using a tool on that, there would be a very, very high likelihood of me stripping the bark off. So again, I've got a bit of a ridge there, and I can sand that down. I'm just using 120 here. I could use 80. Okay, now we could use the power sander on the solid wood with the lathe spinning, and I'll just turn the extractor on as well, and hopefully you can hear me. So while you're on solid wood, no problem at all. Just like a normal bowl. Now you could in fact use an inertia sander as well on the solid wood, but if you're going to be power sanding the wings, what's the point? You might as well do the whole thing. A couple of little ridges there which need to come out, but that is on the... Now you see, you can use this, and again, the same as you would with your hand sanding, you could use it on the wood, but you listen. It's quite possible to do it, but you obviously have to be very wary that you keep this at that sort of an angle so the wood is coming down onto the bottom. If the wood touches there, it's got to be a disaster. So for the first run round, there's a couple of bits there I've got to still do. Not too bad. Now the thing is here, where you've got the staining from the CA, there's a way of getting around that, which I didn't actually do on this one. If you actually put some oil around the crack first, not in the crack, but around the crack, then when you put your CA and sawdust in there, that will reduce the amount of marking that you get on the piece. But it's not a problem, because what I'll do is just lock off the headstock, and you can sand away here. Now obviously I'm not going to sand everything and get it to finish. What I was trying to do, well, all I'm trying to do is show you the method. I mean, obviously it's going to take time, and I don't want to waste time just sanding. But if we forget that there, because that will in actual fact, it will sand out, but it will take a bit of time. As you can see there, that is less pronounced than here. So this, as I say, is really a practice piece. It's not going to be a museum piece. Well, it might be a museum piece actually, showing the ravages of time. And even on this part of bark, I've never had that happen on ash before, that actually raised as well, which is something I've never had happen on a natural edge bowl out of ash. Okay, so we would do that, sand to your, let me come back to my face, and then you'd sand to your desired level of grit. And then what I tend to do with natural edge bowls is to apply sanding sealer, and then when I've applied the sanding sealer and it is dried and I've also finished the inside, because normally you'd have finished the outside anyway before you go to the inside, but then I put it on a buffing wheel. Because of the bark and everything else, you can't really get in my opinion anyway, safely get a good finish by applying wax to a natural edge. So what I tend to do is apply a canuba stick onto the buffing wheel and then buff inside and out on a buffing wheel. Or you can have a buffing arbor in your drill. You can do that as well. Evening, James Cassidy, how are you? Graham Light, Mike, what oil would you advise using to avoid the CA staining? I've used Danish oil. You could actually even use a bit of mineral oil. All it is to stop the CA penetrating into the grain, because that's what makes it's not on the surface, it's got into the grain. And ash is quite a sort of wide grain wood, if you like, so it does accept things rather readily. So but if you put oil on it, I think, what did I do one? I did one, I haven't got it here, but it does work. It does work. Good night, John. Got to go up early. Yeah, you got to watch that interview. I know. Thanks very much for coming, John. Appreciate it, mate. John Foster, it's not a race, Mike. We need to learn. Slow and easy is good. Okay, John Foster. Thank you very much. We're probably going to. Did I miss it? No, you didn't miss it. No, I've already done the half here, so I've got to do the inside now. Captain Data, if you put sanding sealer, shellac and denatured alcohol prior to putting on the CA, you can minimise the staining. Yeah, that's what I say. You can put an oil on, you can put on, again, as you say, sanding sealer. It's something to stop the CA penetrating into the grain of the wood. Thanks for that, Captain Data. Yeah. That's very kind of you, Bob. Thank you. This is not going to be one of my better lives because it's really something that I did 2 weeks ago. It's just a finishing. Some people asked me for it, so I thought I would do it. Okay, Pete. Enjoy, mate. Thanks very much for popping along. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go back to the overhead now. I don't think there's any more questions there. We'll go back to the overhead and I'll show you how I spin them around and do the inside. Basically the same method as I've used here. Okay, so just undo him. And just for interest's sake, when you've finished a bowl on the inside and you want to take the foot off, I use exactly the same method as I did just then showing you doing the outside. Just bring up the tailstock and have something on the inside just to keep your surface. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's not too bad. Now the inside poses the same problems as the outside with regards to methods of sanding and getting the wings. The wings, this actually shows quite nicely, I think. Oh no, it doesn't. Hang on, let's move. Let's move to that camera. Bear with me a minute. Right, I don't know whether, yes, you can just about see, doesn't show it very well. There are some slight tool marks here, and those normally appear on that area where you're not on solid wood because of flexing and because of the tool bouncing when you're actually turning the inside out. So again, the same as with the outside, there are two methods of getting rid of that and sanding. The inside of the bowl, where it is solid wood, you can use your normal sanding method. As I say, I suggest power sanding. That's just me. And again, just to prove the point, or show the point if you like, this is where, if you keep an eye, that is where you're solid, 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 and then it's when you start to get to this area, that's when you start, it's wood, air, wood, air. So you can quite safely sand all the way around there with your power sander. Obviously making sure, and I know this is quite obvious to the more experienced turner, that you don't go this far, and and it's very easy to do that if you want to get up to here. So that's why we just go to what I call the solid wood. Now I'm starting to run out of solid wood. So that is the time. So I've gone to there, basically. Now is the time to decide whether you want to be doing the hero move and trying to do it while it's spinning, or you hand sand, or again use your power sander as you would when you're hand sanding. And like with everything else, the finished piece is only going to be as good as the time you put into it. And you just literally keep going until you're happy with the end result. I mean, there is no way that I'm going to finish this tonight, because obviously if you're not falling asleep now, you definitely would be falling asleep at the time I got this. This will end up, and I will post a picture eventually, this will end up to be an acceptable piece, but the whole point of tonight's live stream was to go through the methods that some of the methods that I use for the finishing. The turning is not that difficult if you're careful. It's the finishing which is a problem, and that has several methods of actually achieving the end result. I'll go back to my face for a minute and ask, are there any specific questions? And I will reiterate that tonight was requested, if you like, and I felt it necessary to give my thoughts to the newer turners and people that were interested. And also, it's good to get other people's ideas on how they do them as well. Yeah, Jim Rob, Captain Data said the same thing. Applying CA is applying sealer before you apply CA stops the staining, as well as oil. I didn't do it on this one, but ash especially, and the wider grain woods do absorb the CA more than a tighter grain would. But yes, I quite agree that sanding sealer as well as oil will do the trick. Thanks for that, Jim. Appreciate it. Mike, from James Cassidy, Mike, do you have your favourite finish? I like sanding sealer, either Yorkshire grit or then Hampshire sheen or wax finish. I like Danish oil. I quite like Canuba wax as well on the buffing wheel for pieces like this. Those are I don't like extremely shiny glossy finishes. I like it to be a deep luster, let's put it that way. That's but my favourite finish I think is wax, and then possibly the microcrystalline wax on top. But there are certain pieces like burls, etc., where I use Danish oil, because you spend half your life picking the wax out of the burrs. Steve Tyndall, how do you sand with the grain when power sanding? Well, you don't actually need to, because power sanding gives a random abrasion, if you like. I mean, obviously if you're hand sanding you would go with the grain like you would on a pen or a spindle, but when you're power sanding, it is a random pattern of scratches essentially, so it is not necessary to do that with the grain, because that problem isn't there because you're power sanding. The same if you're using an inertia sander as well, you haven't got that problem of the grain, so you don't get radial marks. Kate Vitale, I don't use wood stopper because it tends to crumble and I don't like the end product, so I make my own out of the fine sawdust. Right, yes, I use the sawdust with CA as well. That's or coffee ground, anything actually, anything that's a fine, you know, if you want to put inlay in or whatever, you can do. Thanks, Jim. Oh, hello, Jim. Sorry, not thanks. Glenn May, Mike. Hello, Glenn. What grit would you go up to? If I was using Yorkshire grit on a piece, I would go up to 320. Normally, I go up to 600. If I'm just sanding sealer and then a wax finish, I will go up to 600. Douglas Muggham, Mike, I've tried a natural edge bowl and the sides disappear. What am I doing wrong? Well, I've got a couple of videos actually on it, as well as other people have as well. If you just work your way in from the middle as you normally would to the outside, and then when you start to hit the air, that's when you form the shape of your bowl, if you like. My last 2 weeks ago, my live stream, I actually did one. So if you watch that, it's 2 hours long, mind, but you don't have to watch that. You can just fast forward and you can see how I actually shaped the bowl to begin with initially. Graham Light, the Hopi sanding system looks first class. I'll have to get this. Yeah, it's very good, Graham. It is really good. I had the other one for years, but this one is really slick and it's very, very meaty as well. Okay, let's see. Glenn May, does the finish affect the decision? Does the finish... Glenn May, does the finish affect the decision? No, it doesn't really. The piece affects the finish I use. 9 times out of 10 I will go for a wax, as I've said, but there are certain pieces that wax is not the best finish in my view. Because of the fact you've got to spend half your life picking the wax out of the inclusions, etc. Buffing wheel as well with Canuba wax, that's pretty versatile as well. I hope I answered you, Douglas. Andy Corder, I'll be able to finish tomorrow the one I made after your last live. I've got some cracks to fill and we'll sand seal first. Excuse me. Yes, Andy, I didn't do it on this one for some reason, but yes, If you use sanding sealer on oil, as I say, before you apply the CA, you won't get the staining like I got on this one. Good evening, Trevor. Just came in for watching Jimmy Clues. Ah, right, good. I bet you enjoyed it. I wanted to watch it as well, believe you me. Clues, yes. I don't know who Cleeses is. John Cleese, is it? Captain Data, Phil Irons likes powder metal as a filler. Yeah, they look great. It's Harold, really. Oh, okay, Harold. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there are so many different things. I'll tell you what I've also used for quite larger cracks is Milliput. That also is a brilliant filler in its own right. But yes, there's so many different things you can use. I prefer using the sawdust or coffee ground normally. But yeah, metal inlay powders are great for filling in as well. I get the ends, but the middle natural edge goes. It's difficult to know what you mean, Douglas. I'll tell you what, if I can't do it on here, message me on Facebook, on Messenger, or send me an email, and we can have a chat about it. And I hopefully will explain. Have a look at my video and other videos on there on natural edge bowls, and it'll give you an idea of what you've got to do to get the shape to start with. Have I band-aid Oliver for my live stream, says Michael Stratton. No, I haven't. He was turning up tonight, but I think he's licking his wounds from yesterday. He had a terrible situation yesterday with his broadband. 6 or 7 times it went down. I really admire how the guy kept going. Mine's gone down once and I nearly had a blue fit. What kind of finish doesn't left water drop traces? Martin, what kind of finish doesn't leave water drop traces? If you put a microcrystalline coating wax over your wax, whatever wax you use, that is not water resistant, but it is quite repellent, let's put it that way. But if water hits on a continual basis on any wax finish, I think there's, I forget what it's called now, I don't personally use it. I think it's hard wax they call it. That is fairly resistant to water droplets. But really, if you get water droplets on a piece, I mean, you've literally only got to buff it out, haven't you? You know, just put another coat in a wax on and buff it out. So it's not too bad. DL Woodard, he's most probably watching from the sidelines. No, it doesn't watch from sidelines. I have done one of your goblets using glue. Thanks for the inspiration again. All right, Trevor. Yeah, using hot glue. Brilliant. Ed used hot glue yesterday in his demo as well, to great effect. Yeah, it's a great it's a great idea. I got it. I can't remember. I saw it on a video many years ago. But yeah, it's quite effective. Hard wax. Yeah, okay, Martin, you got there in the end. Yeah, hard wax, yes. But if you want to drink out of a goblet or something, you need something like plastic coat or a resin to be waterproof. Yeah, hard wax oil, that's the one, Graham. I couldn't think. Hard wax oil, that's right. That's pretty resistant to water staining, I understand. There we are. I've been an inspiration for you, DL. Oh, nice. Turn from you. Very good too. Ronnie is saying, Trevor, where did you see Jimmy Clues? Jimmy Clues is on tonight at 7 o'clock. He was being interviewed by Pat Carroll. And I wish I'd seen it, because I'm a great fan of Jimmy Clues. Brilliant fella. Never actually met him in person, but he's a lovely fella and he's an extremely talented turner. And I'm surprised there are 184 people here. I guess that most of you don't even know that Jimmy Clues was on. Jim Rob, oh, you're still here. Sorry, I thought you said cheerio. Yes, Andy Green, sanding sealer before CA. Yes, Jim. Yeah. As Jim Rob has said, and also Harold, Captain Data, If you put CA on the piece before you apply your CA filling, you won't get staining, or the staining I would think would be much reduced and easy to get out. Thanks for that, Jim, again. Katie Vitali Douglas, that is likely then the angle on your bottom that you are establishing. If your piece is long, you have... Right, yeah. I haven't got a piece I can get hold of. Yes, I have. Stay there. If you just hang on a minute. Okay, this is in answer to the gentleman that was asking about, he was losing his edges on a natural edge bowl. I don't know how well I can do this, but if you see, this would be mounted, yeah, this would be mounted this way, hang on, this way in the chuck, okay? So that's the headstock here. Okay, so you're starting to turn this way, and what you're doing is you're going up like so, creating your wings here. So you're going to be ending up with a, hang on, let's get this way. The profile will be like so. Okay, now if you start in the middle and work your way out, you will see the shape will start to form. And what you're doing is you're bringing this part up. It's very difficult to actually explain without showing. But as I said, if you have the time, pop to my channel, see me turn it last week to this shape, and that will give you the, I talked everybody through it. That's the way that I do it. And there are many other great videos on YouTube, not just from me obviously, that will show you how to do it. Once you get it in your head what you've got to do, it's really not that difficult, honestly. Mr. Martell, I recently turned 2 live edge bowls and suffered staining on them seemingly from the bark. Have you encountered that, and how to solve the issue? Staining from the bark. That's from Mr. Martell. I'm not quite sure where you're coming from there. Did you mean the bark powdered and stained the wood? What wood was it, if I may ask? Adam, KFC drive-through Mike Walt, not a bad... Adam J. Oh, KFC drive-through and Mike Walt, not a bad evening. Well, you need to get out a lot more, may I say, Adam, but thank you. Oh dear. James Casty, I was lucky to watch Jimmy tonight. He was good as usual. Oh yeah, the audience was limited to about 126. Yeah, well, it was Zoom, wasn't it? Yeah, I really wish that could be recorded actually, but there you go. Evening, Adam J again. All right, sorry. Yes. Trevor Doran, Jimmy was on something on the Zoom organised by Pat Carroll. Yes, he was. Yeah, yes, Trevor, he was. Shay Lenahan, you might in the near future get a chance to demonstrate buffing and waxing and how you apply waxes. Yes, I can do that with pleasure. I would say the man in my view to watch that is Martin Saban-Smith. He's got some excellent videos on finishing because he is fanatical about finishing. But yes, it is a possibility for the future. Shay, Mike, I seen a video once where someone defined the edge with a parting tool, then hollowed. What is your opinion on that method? I do that sometimes, believe it or not, on bowls, but I've never done it on a natural edge, Shay. I can see that being a possible... I've never done it, but I think, yeah, that could be quite an effective way of doing it, actually. Something else I'm going to have a go at. I say I have defined parameters with a parting tool on a number of occasions on bowls, etc., to see how wide I want the rim, you know, give me an idea. But I've never done it with a natural edge bowl, I must be honest. Food for thought. Fred Taylor, Zoom can be recorded. Yes, I know it can, Fred. I'm not sure whether Jimmy recorded it though, or whether Pat did. If he did, brilliant. Then I'll be one of the first to watch it. Kate Vitale, you can do it from a full round log as well. Yes, you can, Kate. As you turn a long piece, you have to watch where solid ends and air begins on the inside of the bowl. Very well explained, Katie. And yes, you can. You can turn it from a solid log as well as half a log. Thank you, Trevor. Very, very kind. Much appreciated. Yes, Douglas. Douglas Mungham. Yes, there are various ways of doing a natural edge bowl, and as Katie said, you can do it from a full log or a half a log. Andy Green, I've used that method with great success. That's very, very true, DL. Very true. You never stop learning. There's always something. What I love about this community is that it doesn't matter. I mean, I've been turning 8 years, but that doesn't mean a damn thing, because I tell you, I learn off new turners as well. They do something. My God, why didn't I think of that? Thank you, Fred. That's very kind of you. You're a star. Thank you. It's you're always learning. You could always learn. And the big problem I have, and I think a lot of you most probably have as well, is that you don't spend enough time, or the time you'd like, behind the lathe. And you see all these things, and you're reading your magazines, you're watching videos, and you see all these ideas, and your brain is crammed, and there's only so many hours you can actually do. So you've got to categorize. And that is my failing, actually, because I tend to try things. I don't actually get expert at anything, because I don't spend enough time doing one thing. But that's what it's all about. It's a hobby. It's not a living, thank goodness. I'd be poor if it was. But yes, if you would, Douglas, that's brilliant, mate. You do that. And as I say, if you at any time, if I'm on at the same time as you, we could always have a chat as well. It's not a problem. Could you turn a dovetail box into a bowl? Could you turn a dovetail? It depends how thick. Forge Felland is saying, could you turn a dovetail box into a bowl? I don't know if it's a trick question. You could, to a certain extent. It depends how thick the walls are of the box. But yes, you could, I think. I think learning new things is the point of for many of us. Mike, yes, I quite agree. We're always learning. You never stop learning. And yeah, Dominic, yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, that's very true. I think the thing is that there are certain things that you will see people do and you say, I must try that, it might not work for you. But there are so many different ways of approaching and tackling the same job. And that's what's so interesting. And it's a very personal thing too. When you've tried something, it works for you, and that's your method. And I always say to people when I see them personally or when I'm on a video or whatever, is that what I do is my way. It works for me. It doesn't necessarily have to work for somebody else. But it's a way to think about, to try and to experiment with. It's more food for thought. Hey Jamie, how are you? Thank you for coming. Trevor Doran, Mike, have you had a go at segmented turning? Excuse me. Yes, I have. Trevor Doran, I have had a go at segmented turning. I have the utmost regard and admiration for people that do segmented turning and produce some wonderful pieces. In a nutshell, I haven't got the patience. When I started turning, when I saw the first segment, I made a segmenting jig. I was on the table saw. I was doing a very basic 8-ring. I was going to do an 8-ring vase, 8 segmented vase, and just try it out. I cut 2 rings, and I thought, I'm not enjoying this. And life's too short to do things you don't enjoy. So I've never used. All I use it for now is doing 45-degree angles on the table saw. So yes, I've had a go, and the only thing I did really enjoy, I did a not segmented reed, I did a staved goblet years ago with 4 or 5 different species of wood, and that I enjoyed. That was great, but segmenting, no, doesn't interest me at all. Doing it, it's like young Jamie here from JP Woodwork. I mean, Jamie is a master on the I was going to call it a fret saw. It's not a fret saw. Oh, where you? Oh God, what do they call them? Not a jigsaw. Come on, will somebody help me out, please? Jamie, what is the machine that you? I got one and I kept it a week and I sold it again. Katie, I think you're an inspiration. That's very kind of you, Katie. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate you saying that. James Castee, Mike, I have to go. James, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate it. That's great. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for coming. Okay, Simon, good night. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for coming, mate. Scroll saw. Thank you, Jamie Page. Jamie Page, he is a master with the scroll saw. This is going back to the segmenting, but really and truly, I just haven't got the patience. I haven't got the patience. Bob Osterberg, yes, he says, I'm correct, segmenting is not for all. It's not. It's not for everybody. But as I say, it doesn't mean to say that we can't stand back in wonder and awe with what people produce with it. Like Jamie, he has produced some phenomenal work with the scroll saw. But I couldn't justify keeping a scroll saw just to cut the odd hole here for something I want to do. I certainly haven't got the patience. Oh, Silk, thank you. You are so kind. Much appreciated. Wasn't much done tonight, I'm afraid, of any interest, really. It was just going through methods again. But, bit late, Chris Pooley, but thank you. Yes, scroll saw. Thank you, Silk. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think there are so many different facets to this craft, and there are certain facets. I mean, I just love wood turning. Boring. I haven't even turned resin. There's some fantastic stuff produced with resin, I know, but I don't know. It's just not for me. Okay, Graham, that's very kind of you. We'll have a chat on the phone maybe sometime next week, yeah, if that's okay with you. Thanks for coming, mate. Appreciate it. Jamie, I have some videos on my channel. I did the portrait of Nick Zametti. If you've seen it on his channel in his intros. Yeah. Yeah, JP Woodwork, Jamie's got a channel and he's got some wonderful videos on there, and he's done some terrific portraits. He did one of the Queen, he did one of Nick Zametti, as he said there. So pop across to Jamie's channel, JP Woodwork. Douglas Mungum, Mike, without the method we would not know. No, that's very true. That's very true. It's like when people say to me, this might sound like a stupid question. There is no such thing in my book as a stupid question. What is stupid is not asking it in the first place. That's my opinion. Andy Best, thanks so much, Mike. Lots of inspiration. Thank you. Which is great as I'm processing the ashtray. Oh, lovely. That's great. Hope you don't live too far on me. You can bring me some. Okay, Andy, thanks very much indeed. I appreciate you coming along. Thank you. Yeah, okay, Graham. We'll speak next week, mate. Trevor Doran, you also love passing on what you know. Very informative. Thank you, Trevor. Yes, it's with me, unfortunately, a lot of the time it's do as I say, not as I do. As most people know, I do mess up quite often. Jim, thank you, Jim. Thanks for coming, mate. Still use your depth gauges, by the way. Mike, do you use a bowl ring tool much? Steve Robbins is asking, do I use a bowl ring tool? Never used one. Never used a ring tool. I can't say more than that, really. I think they are extremely efficient tools when you get used to them. Never used traditional tools. What tool would you say someone should try to learn? JP Woodwork, question. For someone never using traditional tools, what tool would you say someone should try to learn first? I personally think you should learn your traditional tools, but there is a terrific following for carbide tools, and carbide tools have their place, and some people will be put off wood turning if they get a catch and so on, but carbide tools are more forgiving, and yes, there's a place for them for sure. Gordon Groves, missed out tonight. Thank you, Sean Tyndall. You are a star. That's very kind of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Martin. You stay in good health and stay safe, my friend, and hopefully see you next time. Take care. Thank you very much. You did, April, I'm afraid. Yeah, there wasn't much fun, actually. It was pretty boring tonight. It was just going through my processes of finishing a natural edge bowl. So not a lot of turning done. But on my next one, I will actually turn something. Thank you, Paul Smith. Thanks for coming, mate. Much appreciated. Cheers. I'm going to have a drink. Yeah, Katie's saying in answer to your question, Jamie, with JP with basic spindle tools and then move on to bowl gouges. I don't quite know why you're asking that, Jamie, because I mean you're an established turner, mate. You've been turning a number of years. Andy Green, thanks, Mike. Can't wait till that's very kind of you, Andy. Look forward to seeing you next time, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be next Sunday. Oh, Mike, that is very kind of you. Thank you so much. You didn't miss a lot, Stuart. Thanks again, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you. Rightscape. What do you call someone who's doing turning? Is it a wood turner or is there a set word for it? Yeah, wood turner. A wood turner. Or as my friends call me, a wood butcher. Yeah, wood turner. Andy Cordell, gotta go. Okay, Andy, thanks very much indeed. Thanks for coming, mate. Appreciate it. Oh, do you only ever use carbides? I didn't realise, Jamie. You've just got a section and never used them before. Ah, sorry. Jamie Page is saying he's never used traditional tools before. Good luck with that. No. They take a little bit more practice than carbides, but when you get them working for you, they work very well. Brent Beancroft, for natural edge pieces, I have found the trees harvested in their dormant period have a better chance of retaining the bark when turning. Yes, I'm sure you're right. Yeah, I'm sure you're right, Brent. Okay, Dominic, thanks very much for coming. I appreciate it. You take care and stay safe, my friend. Scott McDowell, how do you minimise end grain tear out on the inside of a bowl? Basically, sharp tools, nice light cuts, and those are the main principles for reducing or minimising end grain tear out. Hey Jamie, well don't forget Jamie, you were going to come down anyway, weren't you? When lockdown's over, you were going to come and visit apparently. So I can give you a few lessons, mate. You know not to do it. You're always welcome, Jamie, you know that. I missed that. What, Shay? BB Turning? I missed the comment. Mr. Rothwell, you are too kind. Thank you very much indeed. Mind you, I'm sure you didn't realise when you did that it's your turn when you come over next time for dinner. Oh, it's my friend Dave Rothwell from Canada. Hopefully you're going to come over next year. Thanks very much, Dave. I appreciate it. See you, Steve. I think I said cheerio to you. Take care, mate. Well, I mean, if anybody's got any questions, what I'll do now, I'll hang on till 9 o'clock, which is another 10 minutes for anybody. Mustache, okay. Thanks very much. Cheers, Jamie. Appreciate it, mate. We'll catch up sometime soon, hopefully. I'll look forward to that, mate. See you soon. Take care, Jamie. Yeah, you're right, Bob. When it's dormant, Bob Osterby is saying it's best to, if you get trees that have been cut down in the winter, that's when the sap is down. And also gives more chance of the bark staying on. I have found that ash, English ash anyway, 9 times out of 10, the bark is pretty stable. It wasn't on that particular one because I knocked it off. Keith, cheers, Mr. Mike. I enjoyed that. I really need to get out and have another go. See you next time. Yeah, okay, Keith, you take care, my friend. Thanks for coming. I presume you're still on furlough. Must have a chat soon. Give us a bell this week. Come in. Okay, Bob, I'll do that. Thank you very much. I've done quite a few natural edge bowls, but I haven't really gone into into the detail of it, if you like. I just get a log and turn it, basically. So it would be interesting. I'll have a look at some of your stuff, which I'm sure is superb. I've got some nice ones, but I thought it was a bit big-headed to sort of bring them out and say, this is what I can do, because that's not the point. The point of tonight's exercise wasn't to get a finished piece, but yeah. I do enjoy turning them as well. Scott McDowell, what grit do you sharpen your bowl gouges to? I've been using 400. Well, I use the Robert Sorby Pro Edge linisher system, and everything's on 240. For touch-ups, I use 240 grit. I mean, if you're using this is from Scott McDowell. If you can go to whatever you like, but the only thing is, if you're going to 400 grit, the finer your edge, the less longevity it has. But for a finished cut, yes, I'd agree. But 240, I find on the belts, whether that 240 equates to 240 on, say, CBN wheels, I don't know. But 240 on here is fine enough for me. Be running out of ash soon because of ash. Yes, you're right there. Synchronise a vacation says be running out of ash soon because of the ash dieback. Yeah, it's hitting a lot of countries. Keith, oh yeah, end of July. Me too, mate. At the moment, anyway. Yeah. Paul Band Productions, I only ever use 180. Yeah, that 180 I presume on a CBN wheel. Yeah, that's all I ever used when I had CBN. Thank you, Leroy. Glad you enjoyed it. Sorry there wasn't an actual turning as such, but hopefully it was of some interest to you. Thanks for answering. I'm using bolts too. All right, Scott. 400. I didn't know they did a 400 belt. Pro Edge. I know they do a diamond belt. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do a 400. No, I don't think sorry. This is answering Scott McDowell. Yes, if you're using belts, I personally feel you don't need to go any finer than 240 for turning tools. My opinion. Thank you, Trevor. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Sean Tiddell, what is Mitten Made gonna do a live demo? What is Mitten Made gonna do? Sean Tyndall, sorry, don't understand the question. Yeah, CBN, Paul Barn Productions. Yeah, CBN. When I use CBN, which I did for a number of years, it equates to about 180. That's what I used. I forget what it was now. I think it was 80 grit or something for reprofiling, and all my other sharpening, touching up, and that was done with a 180 wheel. Good night, Doug. Doug Miller, thank you very much for coming. Hope to see you again. Bob Osterberg, Mike, do you do this every week? I try to. I tend to notify people on about the Thursday preview. I'm hoping to do one next Sunday. I couldn't do one last Sunday because of family commitments, but I fully intend to do one every Sunday while I'm still furloughed or not working. After then, I think it'll be every other Sunday. I do a video the week I don't do a live stream, but we'll have to see. Dave Rothwell, any suggestions regarding a copy jig? I now have to make 64 North Hand skittle pins. Yes. Photographs, Dave. No. Your expertise will overcome any jig, Dave Rothwell. You'll turn them skittles, no problem at all. Mitten Made is Paul Barn. Oh, I see. Yes, well, Paul Barn. Let's get a live stream off you then. Woodworking 27. Hello there. How are you? Just about to sign off actually, but thank you very much for turning up. Right, just going to go off camera a minute. I haven't had a vape for a long time. Good night, Mike. Michael Stratton, thank you very much. Good night, mate. You take care, Mick. Take care. Bob. Oh, Facebook. Yes. If you subscribe, and I'm not begging for subscribers, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will get a notification via your email as well. So if you subscribe, press that little bell on my YouTube channel, then you'll get notified by email as well. That's Bob. That's for Bob Osterberg, just to let you know, Bob. But I do announce it in Facebook as well. That's all right, Dave. The vote of confidence. Actually, Fee has just texted me and told me to tell you that you're that good you don't need a copy lathe. So I'm only doing what I'm told, mate. Cue the Jeopardy music. Oh dear. I think Fred's playing with me, Doug, actually. Steve Church, do you use the same angle grinds on your negative rake scrapers? Yeah, the majority of my... Okay, Chris, you take care, mate. Take care, mate. We'll speak soon. Have a chat next week. The majority of my negative rake scrapers are 35-35. I do have a couple of smaller scrapers which have, I think it's 65, and they're just a relief bevel of about 20 degrees. Because I do find negative rake of any type is really more forgiving and gives an excellent finish. That's just me. Oh, Dave Rothwell, yes, I am fibbing. Doug, It says, I've been sub to Mike for years now, and I moved from carbide to traditional tools, learning from Mike's videos. Really? So you've gone back to carbide tools then, have you, Doug? Oh dear. Well, it's okay, Bob. Basically every Sunday, for the foreseeable future, till the end of this month anyway. Um, I, I do like I do like doing these live streams. I think they're great fun. I really enjoy myself. Um, the only what I will say is when you are doing a live demo, it is and I haven't got that art honed by any means. I have so much admiration for these guys that do live demos at clubs, etc. Because you get a given time and you've got to produce something. With me, it's a bit different. It's a hobby for me. I think people join for the crack as well. Hello, Steve Jeremiah. Didn't notice you were here, mate. No, it's Virginia, mate. Golden Virginia. I'll be back in a minute. I was told off, quite rightly so, a couple of weeks ago for actually vaping on camera, which is not a good thing to do. Doug, no, I moved from them to traditional tools. I started with carbide. All right, okay. Yeah, I've honestly got nothing against carbide tools at all. In fact, I'm the proud owner of an Easy Wood diamond carbide tool that I very rarely use, so I don't use carbide. But yeah, I mean, carbide tools do the job, but it's for me personally, I think you should learn the traditional tools, but then I'm an old fart. I just think, and nothing gives me more pleasure when I get it right with a traditional tool. That's it. Dave Ross, yeah, carbide pen turning, that's fine, because I mean you use a screw a lot on pen turning when I used to turn pens. And also carbide is the best medium, I think, not that I turn it, for resin and that sort of a turning as well. John M, when did you decide to stop working on a piece? I spent 2 hours on a piece of green birch and it just seemed to be getting worse, more cracks, weak spots. I told my wife I'll be at it, it'll be for outdoors. John M, this piece here, not the piece for tonight, this is another piece. I had this in backup in case the other one went flying. That's got a couple of cracks here, look. And its cracks are gone through there, but that's a piece I'll save. I've had pieces that are really dangerous to turn, but I've stayed out of the line of fire and I've carried on, not because I want to prove myself, it's practice. But there is a time when you have to say enough's enough. I think you know wood grows on trees after all's said and done, so you have to know where to say no. And I find it very difficult to say no to anything with regards to throwing it away. Yes, it is, Bob, actually. Very easy. I see, Doug, yes. I taught you how to use traditional tools. Well, I'm honoured that you can't use them very well, then, can you, if I taught you? Not old, well, it's all relative. Right Escape, and you did actually tell me your name, and I can't remember what it is. I'm sorry. I do apologise. Fred Taylor, if you like sanding, use carbide. I don't know if that's totally true, Fred, but yeah. Scott, when do you finishing cut? Right, Scott McDowell, when you do your finishing cut on the inside of a bowl, do you use a push cut? I'm having some trouble with the inside of a bowl and haven't been using the push cut. I hear it's best. The push cut is the most difficult cut on the inside of a bowl to get an even finish. My advice to you, and I'll get slated for saying this, to get a good finish on the inside of a bowl, use either a heavy duty bowl scraper, okay, or do what I've done here and turn your heavy duty bowl scraper into a 35-35 negative ray scraper, and that will give you a superb finish on side grain and end grain on your bowl. Promise you. There you go. That's me. That's my opinion. That was to Scott McDowell, by the way. But yeah, the push cut it will give you a better finish than a pull cut. There's no two ways about that. Sharp tools, but to do your finishing cuts, get rid of any slight bit, you know, few lumps and bumps. A negative rake scraper, when properly used, does the job. Rubber Dub was has said, once you don't shoot up heroin on screen, you'll be okay, mate. Well, there's no chance of that, Mr. Rubber Dub, let me tell you. Yeah, you're right, Bob. It does take time, but everything takes time. I tell you what, you watch Carl Jacobson use his carbide tools, and he makes it look easy. But there's a lot of technique, and he is a master of carbide tools as well as traditional tools. Right, Dave, yeah. Yeah, the thing is, Rubber Dub, it's in public. You know, you've got to be careful. I shouldn't be drinking vodka and coke either, but there you go. Grant, thank you very much. Cheerio, mate. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for coming, and stay safe, my friend. Bob Osterberg, I used the French scraper from Glenn Lucas. Excellent. Yes. The French scraper, I forget what Glenn Lucas's angles are. I think they're similar to 35-35. I don't really know, but yes. I have been a great believer and exponent of negative rate scrapers. It can be argued, obviously, if you're a professional turner and you can get a really superb finish off the tool. I mean, I've seen people, professional turners, get a finish off the tool where they would start sanding with 240. You don't need anything other than the tool. But that takes years of practice, and I certainly am never going to get to that stage. Sean Tyndall, you've convinced me, Mike. Gonna convert my scraper to negative rake. Sean, I honestly and truly cannot praise them enough. Really. I mean, I spend a lot of time trying different angles. The angles are something personal, I think, but I just found the 35-35 works really well, but you will need to refresh the edge on a regular basis. Okay, it's not a heavy cutting tool. It's a refining tool. Thank you, Richard. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. It is Diet Coke, Sean, yes, and there's nothing in it bar that. Harold, push cut is like a skew, hard to use but makes the best finish. Yeah, P.S. I fall back to the scraper. Well, I'm glad you admitted, Harold. No, but yeah, let's be honest. If your tool control is excellent, and it's like anything else, some days everything falls into place, you've got everything working well, that's great. You go back the following time and it's not as great, so you've got to rectify your tool marks, etc. As I say, we're not professional turners. Well, I'm not, for sure. But yeah, Harold is saying the push cut gives the best finish, which it does. Adam J, why do Easy Wood tools command such high prices? I don't know. I've never actually purchased one. As I say, I was very lucky at Maker Central here in the UK a couple of years ago. I got one. They are the Rolls Royce of carbide tools, in my opinion, even though I don't use them. They do feel wonderful tools, and they're made in America. I don't know, but I should imagine it's the quality. Douglas Mungham, Mike, it would be great if, as a turner is using a tool, they explain exactly what they're doing with regards to the angle and pressure. With respect, Douglas, I try and do that every video, certainly, and I think I do try and do that while I'm live streaming as well. with respect. I think I do. If I don't, I forget occasionally, then my apologies. Bob Osterberg, the bowl gouge is a very versatile tool, yeah, and can do as many cuts. No carbide is that versatile. No, that's true. A bowl gouge actually is one of the most versatile tools in your armoury, really, because you can do spindle work with a bowl gouge, but you can't do bowl work with a spindle gouge. So yeah. Dave Rothwell, I still haven't worked up enough nerve to regrind my $160 scraper to negative rake. Well, if you listen, Dave, if it works for you, don't bother. Or buy a cheap one and try it, and then you'll convert your expensive one, I promise you. Oh, right, Bob Osterberger saying the Lucas tool is 40 degrees, so it's 40-40, yeah? Fine, I'm only 5 degrees out, so it's not too bad, is it? BB Turning. 35 is very good, and depending on what you want to use it, inside or outside of a bowl, just raise the burr on the side you need, since both sides are the same. Exactly. I did mention that earlier on. For anybody watching and still interested, if you're doing the outside of a bowl, which would be this way, then you need to sharpen the under edge. If you're doing the inside of a bowl, you need to sharpen that edge there, because you want to raise the burr on the top edge. So whichever edge you're using, sharpen or touch up the under edge to raise the burr on the top edge. I very rarely, when I'm turning, actually go back to the grinder. I just use a diamond stone, like diamond card, like this one here. This happens to be a James Barry diamond card, and if I wanted to raise the burr on this edge here, all I do, now bearing in mind that the Robert Sorby leaves you no hollow grind, it's a flat grind as it's a linisher, but what I always do is you go, I'm going to show it there, you heel and toe the bevel, and literally I just raise it about 5 degrees, and you just go like that, no pressure, just go across the edge, and that has raised the burr, and it is as sharp as you like. So a diamond sharpening card is a great way just to hone the edge. Harold, I will admit carbide helps introduce you into wood turning. Most everyone can use them. If you want to progress after that, it's up to you. I agree, yeah. Harold, carbide tools are good for beginners, but being that I'm an old traditional person, I still think it's more important for people to have a lesson with a professional turner, and they will have traditional tools. Learn your traditional tools, in my opinion. But yes, carbide is great for beginners if they feel a little bit wary of wood turning. Okay, Douglas, thank you. Maybe I got the wrong end of the stick there, sorry. Yes, I agree. There's nothing worse. I've seen live demonstrations where people, they produce some wonderful stuff, but they don't explain what they're doing. But I like the sound of my own voice, so it is very difficult for me to stop talking, even when I'm sleeping, apparently, let alone when I'm turning. Sean Tyndall, I started with traditional tools and made my own carbides. Yep, I find the carbide harder to get a nice cut. Yes, it's horses for courses. I've got so much to learn with regards to being able to become proficient in all my traditional tools. Only time I use carbide, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a great exponent of them for hollowing. I think carbide tools for hollowing are brilliant. Again, that's me personally. All right, okay, Sean. But it's nice to hear that you started with traditional tools. Brilliant. Doug, it's an aggressive scraper. Sean, and you end up with horrible tear out. Yeah, I'll agree with, yes, if you use it sort of straight on, but if you can do some lovely finishing, some shear cutting with a carbide, and I don't know if you saw it in there when I was doing the outside with various different tools. You can actually, a little 6mm carbide cutter turned up will turn to a 45-degree angle, will give a nice finish. Sean, I missed you saying that, Mike. I was reading Peppa Pig at the time. Oh dear. Shaya said, I missed you saying that, Mike. I was reading Peppa Pig at the time. Well, Peppa Pig's more interesting than me, Shay, isn't he? Is it a he or a she? I don't know. Sean Tyndall. Everything looks easy when you've had a bit of practice. Just practice on things. I'll tell you one thing, my friend. I've made over 300 videos, right? And towards the end, those videos, yeah, everything looks great. I do put in my mess ups as well, but believe you me, it looks a lot better on a video than in real life. And I prove this time and time again on these live demos. But we're all, we all make mistakes. We all don't get things right every time. And I think if it's live demo or not, if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. It happens to everybody. And let's not try and hide the fact that unless you're a professional on top of your game, you're going to have things go wrong, That's very nice of you to say, Harold. Thank you. Actually, Sean, I'm not promoting my YouTube channel as such, but I do have some beginner's guides. And I revisited all the tools, I don't know, 6-9 months ago. So I've got a very early beginner's guide going right the way through the different tools and also basic making pieces, and the same, I did that again with the tools about a year ago, maybe 6-9 months ago, something like that. So have a look, but there's some great videos, not just mine, obviously, on YouTube. Harold, do you find the burr of 1000 grit better than one of 180 grit? Harold, my issue with having extremely fine burr like 1000 grit, it lasts seconds. But yes, I would guess, I've never done to what I do occasionally is use a tungsten rod, which I got off eBay, and every now and again if I remember, I'll take the burr off about 5 degrees off the edge, take the burr off, and to be honest with you, yeah, it does give a nice finish, but I just tend to think that the finer the edge, obviously the less time it's going to last. So I normally do 300 grit on the diamond. I haven't done the 1000, but I will try it and see. Thank you, Sean, I appreciate that. Thanks for your support, mate. That's great. I cannot believe there are 258 people still here and I'm not doing anything but talking. And I was going to go at 9 o'clock and it is now 20 past 9. Ah dear. Right guys, I got to let you go. Thank you, Mark. Right, I think I've outstayed my welcome. It's 20 past 9 now and we've been chatting for the last half an hour or so and I've really enjoyed it. I could stay all night, to be honest with you. I'd like to thank you all once again. Nick Chambers, before I go, your videos and live sessions are wonderful. Thank you, Nick, I appreciate it. Oh good, you've converted. Nick Chambers has said that he has converted his scraper to 35 and he's chuffed to beans with it. So yeah, thank goodness for that. I'm glad you're happy with it. Nick also asked, have you ever cut any thread? I've never done any thread chasing, no. It's something I wanted to get into, but I just never seem to have got there. Right guys, I'd like to thank you very, very much indeed for the third time now. I've got to thank you all very much indeed for coming, especially on this evening when there was somebody far more adept than myself having a video done, but I'm really humbled. Thank you very much indeed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you have too, and all being well with the wind behind us, I look forward to seeing you next Sunday at 7:30. Take care now and good night. Cheers.